Welcome to the Guntersville Grassroots Podcast, presented by Rec Lending. If you're shopping for a boat, they don't sell boats, but they finance them. Mm-hmm. They finance boats, they finance RVs. They're kind of like Trey works for
North Alabama
Mortgage. Sorry, I went blank on that. They're a broker, right, for mortgages. These guys are kind of a broker for boat loans. Mm-hmm. They go out and search out the best rate based on whatever the criteria are. So I used them, just a little over a month ago, and ended up getting a sponsor out of it. So I guess that was supposed to happen. I don't have an answer for it, but be sure and check them out at reclending.com if you're in the market for a boat or an RV. It doesn't have to be new. And there's lots of used stuff getting sold a lot cheaper out there right now because the rates are what they are. Now, interest rates suck, bottom line.
Yep.
But theirs was better. It's all credit related, of course, but theirs was substantially better than like what the dealers had to offer when I was there. So anyway, today we're going to do something a little different again. We had real positive response to our TBA one. Mm-hmm. It's had a lot of people that were, let's say we're up to 6 now, I think.
Yeah.
we got a fair number of people that actually like that listen to that one. And the goal is to try to provide information. And a hot topic on Guntersville that comes up a lot. By the way, if you didn't notice, Trey's here again.
I'm back again.
It's hard to believe. But a hot topic that comes up on Guntersville is stocking, right? And Foodland tournament we just have had, and I believe they release some every year. Mm-hmm. And I was doing some reading the other night or early in the morning when I woke up and couldn't go back to sleep because I'm old. And apparently you have to have a permit to stock bass on Guntersville. But, we've had a couple different biologists that we've talked to in the last few years that, say, well, the genetics are there. We really don't know that it helps. Then you go look at places like Texas and you go, well, dadgum, everything's bigger in Texas. And that may just be because it's Texas.
Yeah.
But they have the Toyota ShareLunker program, which is founded by, a Toyota, obviously, but it's part of the Texas Fish and Wildlife, or however they word it. Mm-hmm. And, I was sitting there one day and I'm like, I'd like to know a little bit more about that and see if there's some way somebody, one of the 6 people that listens to our podcast, could have enough reach to say, you know what, we need to start that. And learn a little. Well, we're going to learn a little bit about it. We've got a lady named Natalie Goldstrohm, who is their program coordinator and program supervisor over that. It was kind enough to reply to an email that I sent, and she's going to come on and join us, and we're going to learn a little bit about that. And maybe it's nothing we can apply to Guntersville, but maybe one day we will. So we're going to give that a shot. We're going to see if we can get her on the phone. We've got Natalie Goldstrohm from the Toyota ShareLunker program. She is the program coordinator for that and also statewide outreach program supervisor. She was kind enough to come on and talk to us a little bit about what they do over there at the Texas Freshwater Fisheries Center. We have not had much luck in Alabama getting anybody to do such things, and it's interesting to me, so I decided, hey, we're going to talk about it. So, Natalie, thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
So tell us a little bit about how, I think this program's been around for a long time, but how did it get started?
Yeah, so the whole idea of the program is to engage the public in the promotion and enhancement of what we classify as lunker bass fishing here in the state of Texas. And the whole vision of it was if we could get people to participate and be involved in trophy bass conservation, and we still provide great management and research, then there should be more lunker bass in the reservoirs for people to catch. So that should mean more people catching big bass. And that's kind of where the whole ShareLunker program, was thought of. And it really kind of kicked off in 1986, where their very first ShareLunker in the program. It was a 17.67 pound largemouth bass caught over in Lake Fork. And the angler lovingly named her Ethel, and she was our new state record at the time. And a lot of people might have heard of Ethel. She lived a good long life over in the Granddaddy store for Bass Pro Shops. And so people around the world would come and visit Ethel because she was an incredible bass. And she was kind of an ambassador of catch and release fishing. That was the big change of the catch and release into the grease as to more conservation minded of, catch and release and put those bigger fish back into the reservoir because they're providing something really great for these lakes genetically. So that was kind of the birth of the ShareLunker program.
And today, it's obviously it worked, number one, because everything's bigger in Texas, right? So
it sure is.
Trey over here, he just said that he says, man, I don't know what it is. He said, but I've been to Sam Rayburn twice and I caught one over 8 both times. And I think that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. It is a common occurrence. And some of it is just because of where we're located in the United States. Geographically, we're in an area where our reservoirs has a long production period, and so there's a lot of food out there for our top predators like our largemouth bass to be able to eat. We have great management out here, and we have the right genes to do it. And that a lot of it goes back to the ShareLunker program and stocking what we call Florida largemouth bass and ShareLunker genetics back into these major impoundments.
So you say stocking ShareLunker genetics. So from what I read, somebody catches a big fish over a certain weight, they can call you guys and y'all take it, and then you actually kind of use them to create your fingerlings?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So for nearly 40 years now, we've asked the general public that are out there fishing in Texas if they happen to catch a 13-pound bass or one that's heavier, if they won't give us a call and be willing to share that fish with us, we'll bring it back to our Texas hatcheries. And specifically, the home of the ShareLunker program is at our Texas Freshwater Fishery Center over in Athens. And we selectively spawn them. We have broodstock males that we keep year round, and they're descendants of ShareLunker bass that are pure Floridas that will pair up with these new fish that are 13 pounds or heavier that are coming in annually. And then we will stock those fish back out into the reservoirs that produce these 13-pound bass. We do hold some back for research, and now we're holding back some for our broodstock. So all the Florida largemouth bass that we're now stocking across the state, they all have ShareLunker genetics in them. Essentially, they're ShareLunker grandchildren.
So you do it in more than just Sam Rayburn?
Oh, yes, we do. Any lake that produces a ShareLunker, as long as it's public waters, we'll stock the offspring of the ShareLunker back out into those locations. But then those Florida largemouth bass, we're calling them Lone Star bass. We stock those out wherever we would put Florida stocking.
So where does the funding for this come from? Because that's the real deal you hear over here is like, well, they don't have the money. Yeah, I mean, where does the funding for a program like that come from?
We're really fortunate. We've got some great partners, and our primary sponsor is Toyota. They provide the majority of the sponsorship money. We also partner with Lew's, Strike King, and Bass Pro Shops at a higher level. We call it the achievement levels. So different levels that people catch fish at, different size categories. And then we also have some additional prize sponsorships from AFCO, Bass Forecast, Bass University, Lake Fork Taxidermy that provides those beautiful replicas for those that are willing to give us the 13-pound bass to spawn in 6 Sense Fishing.
So how many employees does the fishery center have? The group that's stocking, that's breeding the fish, and I guess you've got one facility that really does that, right? And then y'all load them in trucks and carry them around.
We do, yes. So I'm the coordinator. I have a direct supervisor that assists with the ShareLunker program, and I also have someone else that works with me. Their primary is to assist with the ShareLunker program and do our, we call it the angler recognition program. It's our water body records, catch and release records, kids first fish. And so that's kind of the ShareLunker team. Now we also do have our hatchery members that work at the Texas Freshwater Fishery Center that are caring for these fish. And depending on how many seasonal positions we have upwards of 10 folks working in the hatcheries spawning these fish. But it's not just spawning the ShareLunkers. There's other responsibilities that they have, including, normal production of Florida largemouth bass, catfish stockings, and in the winter, there's also rainbow trout. So there's a lot of stuff going on that that everybody kind of all works together. And I don't do anything alone. I'm really fortunate. When you think about going across the state and picking up fish, if there's some fish caught over in far west Texas, I'm based in East Texas, and it might be 6 hours or more for me to drive over there and get that fish. So we've actually implemented a response team, and so it's all of our fisheries management teams, all of our hatchery teams, whoever's closest to that fish and the angler when they catch it and decide to share it with our program, they'll actually go pick that fish up and start heading east, where I'll actually meet them along the way and transport that fish the rest of the way. So the fish is not having to be held for hours on end until I can reach it, because again, Texas is huge. So it's better for the fish, it's better for the anglers, and we're seeing that the survivability of our fish is that much better. So it puts them in a better condition for them to be able to spawn as well. So
and you're not just putting this in a live well. I mean, y'all have like a tanker truck or something.
We do. Yeah, we have a beautiful Toyota Tundra, and we drive it across the state, and we have a hauling box with oxygen, and anything that could go wrong, we have something to fix it along the way, including heaters in case we end up having a very cold day.
So does that run year round? I mean, January till December. I mean, if somebody catches one.
It used to, and we saw that the fish that were brought in between January and the end of March tended to survive a little bit better, and they were more likely to spawn. So we've reduced the collection season to January 1st through March 31st.
Has the size for that, you said 13 pounds earlier, has that always been the number? I mean,
it has.
It has. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if something implemented in Alabama like that, it'd probably be 10, not 13. I mean, well, I mean, Guntersville has gazillions. It goes in cycles like any lake, but we have gazillions of 3 to 5 pound fish, quite a few 6s and 7s, but you don't see a whole lot of, I mean, you get some 8s and 10s every year, but it's more, our spawn cycle early is more like February to April. We're on the tail end of the spawn stuff here now. And again, that's just geography related, I guess. But, we just don't get as many of those great big ones. Now, the biologists that we've talked to here, we've had 2 different ones on before. They say, we introduced Florida genetics into the lakes 30 years ago, and the ones we've sampled says some of it's still there, so it doesn't do any good to put any more out there. But a lot of people are like, look at Texas. The thing I keep going back, look at Texas. I mean, how many fish are you guys letting go a year at Sam Rayburn? Estimate.
Oh gosh. I would say hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. I saw something from, I don't think it had last year's, and it didn't all make sense to me because I didn't realize Lone Star bass. I was like, what's a Lone Star bass? It's essentially it's y'all's home raised deal. But I saw a number that looked like 530 something thousand for like 2022 in Sam Rayburn alone. Now, Sam Rayburn's 3 or 4 times the size of Guntersville. Guntersville's big, but it's in Alabama, but it's not Texas big. So, I mean,
I know it is our biggest reservoir that's fully within the state of Texas. So it's going to get a whole lot of the fish, and it's probably going to get more than most of the other reservoirs throughout the state, and that's just purely due to size alone.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I just pulled up their stocking report. So if anyone out there is interested in seeing how many bass we're putting in a particular reservoir, all that information is available online. We did put in over 500,000 or almost 500,000 fingerling.
That's a lot of fish.
Of what we're calling Lone Star bass, which is those ShareLunker grandchildren.
And they're what, 2 or 3 inch fish? I mean, how big are they?
Yeah. So they're fingerling size. So they're about 1.5 to 2 inches.
While Rayburn is a different lake than Guntersville, it's still got a lot of grass. And I know I've been there once, but I mean, it's got about any kind of habitat you want there. But so do y'all just spread them around different areas of the lake?
Yeah, we have a protocol. So we try to find really what we consider really good bass habitat. So it's those structures, make sure that we're not putting in an area where there's lots of other predators like gar, and we kind of spread them out throughout the reservoir. And and all of the bass stockings are all requested from our management biologists. So the ones that are going out there and sampling the fisheries and also talking with the anglers, finding out what they're catching and what they're keeping, that kind of stuff.
That's interesting. I mean, so you guys are not concerned that the Florida genetics are still there. You're really just trying to put more of the big girl genetics out there. So for lack of a better term, I mean, you're really focusing on it. It's a volume thing, not a introducing the Florida gene into. I mean, the fish clear. If you've been doing it for 40 years, you've got a few records that I mean. So with your 40 years of records, have you seen more big fish since you started?
It's hard to tell because back in the day we used to collect 13-pound bass throughout the entire year. But I do think that we are seeing some incredible quality fish. And if you look at our numbers over the last several years, we've had, over 20 fish being submitted into the program year after year. Last year, we had a great year with 18, and this year we have 19. So I think that kind of just puts us par for the course. And we were looking at our water levels, thinking that water levels are kind of going down in some of our reservoirs, and maybe that is going to impact the number of fish that are able to get to that 13-pound size. But we ended up getting 19 ShareLunkers this season. So I think we're really fortunate out there that our anglers trust what we're doing here in Texas and that they want to support us by continuing to share those fish with us.
So that's 19 this year, over 13 pounds.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, you did say you only do it you said January to the end of March, right?
January through March 31st. Yes.
So and that's not counting.
Yeah, I mean, and there's no telling how many 10-pounders. So, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's an event called the Bass Cash Bash that actually started over on Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn. I run the one here on Guntersville, and but like he on Rayburn and Toledo Bend, he pays if you're registered for the bass, and that's where we tag little fish, not big fish. But if you catch a 10-pounder or better and you're registered, then you still win a prize, just like you caught a tag fish. That's cost him a lot of money because there's a lot of 10-pounders get caught over there. I mean, how old is a 13-pound fish?
On average, they're about 10 years old here in Texas.
Dinosaur. Yeah.
They're what we consider geriatric fish, and they're pretty rare. We do call them fish of a lifetime, even though there were 19 caught this year. It is something that is maybe a once or twice in a lifetime achievement. We were lucky enough that one angler caught 2 ShareLunkers this season, and we had one angler catch his 3rd ShareLunker 3 years in a row.
So obviously
there's
that
some
guy's
people
good.
that are out there. They know how to fish for these big bass.
It'll be interesting to see with the live scope technology and stuff like that. If you get a few more,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talk about that all the time, but like I'm not good with it. Trey fishes the Bassmaster Open, so he has to play with it, and he said he doesn't like it, but you have to do it, right?
I do.
It's going to be interesting to see in the next year or two because I mean, that's changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
It how much that really impacts it, but I mean, y'all are really basing everything as far as like where your fish come from on angler participation. Do you put when somebody catches one of your a lunker that turns into you, do you guys keep like a record book and you kind of make a big deal about it, that kind of deal?
We do, yeah. We have social media, and we're both on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll post it there. We have a fishing Twitter page, so it'll go out to that location. And we try to write a press release on every fish, but sometimes they come in such quick succession that we have to put 2 or 3 ShareLunkers in a row. I don't know. There's something in the air and the weather that if you catch one, there might be 2 or 3 caught that day. So sometimes we don't get the opportunity to highlight every angler in an individual press release.
Sure.
We do try to get the message out there, and I mean, who doesn't love seeing pictures of big fish? And I mean, they're throughout the state. Produce legacy ShareLunkers, those 13-pound ShareLunker. So we have nearly 80 public reservoirs in the state of Texas that have produced the 13-pound bass that have been shared with our program for spawning purposes. So, there's a possibility that any water body that you're out there fishing could have a fish of a lifetime available for you to catch.
I mean, look, for most of us folks from Alabama, a lot of the ones under that 13-pound mark are still the fish of a lifetime. I mean, look at what the pros did when they were on Fork earlier this year. I mean, I don't remember how many. I mean, it was crazy.
Unreal.
I was out there. I had our ShareLunker trailer out there along with some other team members from Parks and Wildlife, and it was an incredible event seeing how many people were catching such great fish. There were over 60 anglers that caught bass, or 60 fish that were over 8 pounds that were caught in that tournament. And I know that we've been focusing a lot on these legacy class bass, these 13-pounders, but one thing that a lot of folks might be unaware of is that we've actually expanded the ShareLunker program to include bass that are 8 pounds and heavier. They can, if an angler catches a bass that's 8 pound or heavier, they can share that information with us through an app. Now, we won't come and pick them up for spawning purposes. We still set that bar really high at that 13 pounds, but they can share information about what we consider a lunker bass with Texas Parks and Wildlife. It's vetted by biologists, making sure that it meets the criteria of 8 pounds or better. And our biologists use that information, especially when they're making their stocking request for Florida largemouth bass.
How big is Sam Rayburn? I mean, I know Guntersville's like 69,000 acres, and Sam Rayburn's like 3 or 4 times that, I think. Trick question. You didn't know I was going to ask that.
No, I have it up right here, and it says that the surface acreage is 114,000.
Okay, so it's a little more than double. So
and you said Sam Rayburn, yeah.
Sam Rayburn. Well, not quite double. My math's not good sitting there on the fly either. So, but it's big. So I mean, I've been there once, and the wind started out of the north, and it turned into a real big place. I mean, it's like being in the ocean. So,
I do have a question, just out of curiosity for myself, because I've been to Texas 4 or 5 different times fishing the opens and things like that. And I think I was actually on Toledo Bend when I seen this, but I actually seen like 4 or 5 different cages set up on the lake that say ShareLunker program. What are those for that are actually on the lake itself?
Another trick question.
I know. You said cages?
Yeah, it's just kind of like it doesn't even have a top. I wondered, like it almost looked like if you caught one and somebody was on their way to get it, you could like sit it in there and they would come right there and pick it up. I didn't know if that's what it was for, but it was like a little cage type thing, and it said ShareLunker program on it.
I don't know.
That might have been somebody's cheat basket, and they just made it look like that.
Now I'm starting to wonder. Yeah,
it's possible. We do have what we call ShareLunker holding and weigh station locations throughout the state, and we try to target them in areas where we think, ShareLunkers are going to be produced. So Sam Rayburn is definitely one of those locations. So we have weigh stations throughout the entire reservoir, both on all sides. So wherever you are, if you catch a big bass, there should be a weigh station. Like Sam Rayburn, they're a little bit more isolated. There's not a place that's a bait shop or something that would have a large container bass. Our program is actually designed hold station baskets. I don't know if they were like the ones that you saw, but they're and the mesh sides that are about 4 by 4 by 4 that, let's say you just weighed in your fish and you don't have one of those really nice big live wells that you can take up the center and make it an expanded live well for a 13-pound bass. There are some locations that we do have those kind of holding facilities available, but not throughout.
I bet that's what I seen. It's been a while, so I don't remember exactly what I just remember it was like a little cage like thing that said ShareLunker on.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Moving around. So, well, Natalie, it's a grand idea. We joke about, all 6 people that listen to this are going to really like it, but there are a lot of folks here that have fought for a stocking program, and the state biologists just say, no, we don't need it. Now, again, everything goes in cycles. So we're not, sometimes we had a few years where we had 2 or 3 bad spawns in a row due to weather. events. And, so you get a cycle where the recruitment's a little low, and everybody's like, look, if they were stocking, we could offset that. And it, there is no arguing with the success that you guys have had out there. I mean, because fishing pressure's 100 times what it was in 1986. I mean, I was 11, so I'm guessing, but, anyway, we had a little technical difficulty there. It's Trey's fault. It always is. That's why he's here. So we can blame him for it. But we do have Natalie back on here, and we tried a landline this time. But what I was saying there was, obviously what you guys are doing works, and at a minimum helps offset those years that you have, bad spawns for whatever reason. Because I had alluded, we had 3 or 4 years bad spawns here in a row just due to weather. And, y'all's success speaks for itself, and the fishing pressure is 100 times what it was in 1986 there.
Mm-hmm. It is. And, the ShareLunker program is known nationally and internationally. So we have a lot of folks coming to target big bass here in the state of Texas because of it. And so we are seeing that increased fishing pressure, but we're also seeing, good numbers of ShareLunkers continue to be entered into the program year after year. And I think that that's just a testament to all the great genetics that we have. We've been really kind of making a push to get additional genetic information, even on bass that are 8 pounds or heavier, to try to get an idea of what's going on genetically before they hit that 13-pound mark. But we're seeing some really amazing things. We're seeing mother-daughter ShareLunker pairs. We're seeing 2 sister ShareLunkers with a ShareLunker mother. And we're able to trace back one tree 6 generations to one of the very first ShareLunkers ever caught. And when you look at that ShareLunker tree, there are 6 fish that are on there. They're all water body records, the largest largemouth bass that's ever been caught in that particular reservoir before. So, I mean,
and you can scientifically prove that happened because of what y'all did. That's what you're saying. Like genetically, you can go back.
I'm saying genetically, there's big parent bass create more big offspring.
Yeah.
So we've seen that time after time. So we know that it's working. The genetics are working, and a lot of it is also good management. You have to have that as well. It just doesn't happen on its own or just because of the stocking. It has to be this everything kind of coming together, and that's one of the hottest reservoirs in the state, if not the nation right now, is OHIV.
Yeah.
And it's not just because of, it's time. Everything kind of came together. The water level had been down, and all the terrestrial plants had grown up around the reservoir. And when all the rains came and flooded it, it was this huge burst of nutrients throughout the food web. And that was when we started seeing the boom of all the ShareLunkers being produced, starting in 2020 and really showcasing, the great fishery that it was in 2021 through today. So.
Yeah, social media helps the word get out quick on stuff like that. You mean they're catching how many what? And if you have fish, people will travel. I mean, and Guntersville gets thousands of visitors every year, but it's not for
the destination.
It is. It always has been. And unfortunately, since Kentucky Lake's gotten pretty bad, a lot of the destination is people coming from up there to fill up their freezers. But and Trey, of course, this is not her concern, but like when I went Saturday at Waterfront at the ramp there across the street, somebody had poured or had cleaned a bunch of bass. If you want to keep a bass to eat, that's your business, right? But they had put 25 or 30 carcasses right by the dock in 3 foot of water, floating around, head sticking out of the water and on the bottom. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which is technically illegal, I was told. I don't know. But again, if you want to eat one, that's your right. But our limit for bass here is 10 per person per day, and which seems high.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that in our state. There's law against, putting carcasses back into the water. So
there's laws here too, but we have 2 game wardens per county. I mean, they can only do so much. So
it's true.
But anyway, I didn't mean to turn that on, but that is something that really irritated me. I made a social media post through Bass and Big G about that. I'm like, look, if you want to eat them, that's your business, but don't, feed them, fertilize your garden with it or something. Don't dump them right there by the boat ramp for everybody to see. So anyway, Natalie, I can't thank you enough. It took us, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks of this going back and forth to get together. But
I know it's been a busy year over here. There's unfortunately my schedule is very full, and we had a great spawn, and I'm working with our anglers right now to return their ShareLunkers back to them. And we're going to release most of them either next week or the following week back into the reservoirs that they've been caught from.
Oh, wow. And so when do you actually start releasing the fry or the fingerlings?
As soon as they're big enough.
As soon as they're just whenever that gets right.
Yeah. Yep. So we kind of monitor them out in our hatchery ponds, and as soon as they meet the minimum size, that's when they're going to start going out. And every reservoir that had a ShareLunker shared with us this season is going to receive some of those offspring.
Interesting. It's a great concept. Maybe one day we'll get something like that over here. I don't know that we can compete with Texas just because the climate is a little different. We get a little colder, I think, and I know y'all's fishing really fires up about January, and here the deer are firing up about January. Everybody's interested in, it's the deer rut, not the fish rut. So, but anyway, Natalie, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I hope to talk to you soon.
I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you. Have a good day. Trey, we just learned more than we ever wanted to know.
Yeah, really.
It's kind of neat. And
it is.
The real goal here is, I don't know what the real goal here is. I thought it was interesting. People talk about stocking all the time, and nobody does it better.
Yep.
40 years.
They've proven that.
Yeah, they have. And you've been there. And
like I said, I fished an open. I don't know if I said this when we were recording or not, but I fished an open there, and I fished there 2 times, and both times I've caught 1 over 8. So, it works. It was unbelievable. Every time I've been there, I've caught giant ones. And you just look on Facebook long enough, and if you follow Toledo Bend or Lake Fork or Sam Rayburn, just to see the numbers of big bass. Like you said, at Guntersville.
8-pounders are common.
Yeah, at Guntersville, we catch a lot of 3 to 5 pounders, and there is truly a lot of 6 to 7 pounders, but over the 8-pound mark, there's just not that many, it feels like, in Guntersville that gets caught. And if there was that many in this lake, you would see more get caught. Yeah, we see 1 or 2 10-pounders a year, maybe 10 to 15 over 8, all year long, but it's just nothing that compares to the numbers that those guys have down there. And in my personal opinion, I think if it's as good as it is here without it, what could it be with it?
I'm with you. Even Chickamauga's had something going on, stocking wise, and it's a small lake compared to Guntersville. I don't remember but it's a fair amount smaller. But it's Tennessee River. So, the Tennessee River is a very fertile resource, but, they had way more 10-plus pounders. Now, the pressure has made a difference up there. And I think they had a couple of those years of bad spawns. And 10-pounders don't grow overnight, right? This is a long-term process. They've been doing this for 40 years. What are you, 23 now?
24.
24. Oh, my God, he's old.
Yeah, getting there.
And so, just think if something like this started up in 10 years from now, what it would be like.
That's my thing, and I've been to Texas, and they do have grass, they do have good fish habitat and stuff like that, but we complain about the grass and the floating grass here and things like that at Guntersville, but to put that amount of fry in here, I'm not a fish biologist, but I feel like more of those fingerlings would survive in Guntersville than they would Sam Rayburn, because they can hide in grass. There's so much grass.
Never goes away.
It never goes away. So I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Y'all probably tell me if I am, and that's fine. Yeah. But I just feel like more of the fingerlings would survive here than they would in Texas.
So Guntersville's half the size of Rayburn. If you put 250, 300,000 fish a year in it, either something's going to eat real good, or we're going to get some benefit from it.
Yep.
If we could just figure out a way to get the state to afford it. Maybe we need to call Toyota. Well, I don't know. We've got Toyota here. Hell, Toyota's in Huntsville.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call Toyota. Go, hey, you guys want to sponsor a ShareLunker here? Put it together, Trey.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's my new goal.
I told Paul over at GTO one day, and I'm like, if I could just leave a little bit of a mark with this thing, and something like that would be great. And if we could find a way to actually make it happen. Now, it's going to take more than a couple rednecks sitting in
Exactly.
in an office.
It's somebody way smarter than we are.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And somebody knows how to raise money, because you and I are, I mean, you raise most of your money in a parking lot hotel.
Yep.
And I mean,
well, look, me and you can talk. If we can just get somebody to listen, we're good.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
That's
we'll
what
talk about it.
Yeah,
we'll
we're good at it.
And for the right amount of money, I'll put program coordinator behind my thing, and I'll quit being an appraiser, because that job sucks sometimes. So
hey, at this point in my life, I'll quit bass fishing. So just holler at your boy. I'm here. I'm
for the right
hire.
money.
If for the right amount of money, I'll fun fish, you know?
Anyway, well, nobody may care about this. I thought it was neat. Trey's a young guy. He thought it was neat. So I lined it up, and there you have it. So if it's something you're interested in, if you know somebody that you think could help start a program like this in Alabama, if there is somebody here that's politically connected, make it happen.
Yeah.
Get us involved.
Yeah, messages.
Hey, we're not hard to find. Track us down. We'll put something together. We'll see if we can, start something on Guntersville. It could go statewide. I mean, look, the bottom line is Texas is doing that for one reason. You know what that reason is? It brings people there. And you know what people bring? Lots of travel dollars, lots of money. Tourism's huge. Guntersville Lake. Ask Kay that runs the Alabama Bass Trail. She puts out numbers of the stuff that the fishing does on in the whole state. And of course, that's kind of how her deal got started. It's incredible.
Yep.
It's an incredible, it's a huge part of the economy here, and it could be bigger, and so could the fish. Yep. So there you go. We got plenty of floating grass. You be sure and enjoy that. Till the next time, we'll talk to you soon.